Okay, so welcome to another episode of MetalTalk TV. I'm pleased to welcome one of the busiest men in metal, Swedish bass maestro Bjorn Englen. Bjorn, how you doing, sir?
I'm doing great. How are you doing?
Yeah, good.
Excellent.
You moved to the States in the early '90s, didn't you? That was quite a big move.
Long time ago. Yeah, it was a big move, and I was 21. And I think when you're, and I keep telling people this because they're like, well, you're brave. Well, yeah, I think it's easier when you're a little younger because you're not, you haven't settled in and you're not like even thinking about the fear factor. You just kind of do things. And it's kind of like what I did. So like I said, it's entirely possible if I would have waited that, the hesitation kicks in or whatever, but yeah, it was perfect timing. And I don't know if it's a good idea to to move to Los Angeles when you're too young. You know what I mean? It's too much temptation with, all sorts of the drugs and things like that. It's something that I personally stayed away from, and I'm glad I did. But yeah, so 21 was a good age, and
Cool.
here I am still today.
And
for all these years.
with the pandemic and traveling back home to Sweden, that must have been pretty difficult for you.
It was a little, it was interesting because you have to have like all these negative COVID tests and stuff like that, but they didn't really check anything at any point. So that was kind of interesting. And even coming back into the United States was like, they didn't check any of that, which is, I don't know, maybe they don't have the resources, they don't have the time you know what I mean? But yeah, you do have to get a lot of the COVID tests going there and coming back and all that stuff. And but it worked out well, and it was nice. I hadn't been back home in a couple of years, so
Wow.
just catching up with everybody was wonderful. So
Yeah, cool. And with the enforced time off, how have you been busying yourself? Might we, for example, hear some new Soul Sign or?
We have been busy. We've been writing and recording. We're pretty much done with the next album coming up. So and we're happy with it. We like the songs a lot, and I think everybody did a really good job playing and singing on it. So we're excited, and we're looking forward to the world hearing it. So it's
cool. What's the current lineup?
We have Mike Cancino on drums. We have Mark Bowles on vocals, and we have Jan Mengling on guitar. So it's pretty much the same lineup that's been there for a long time. So great players and great people. So
is that the same lineup from Life in the Dark?
You know what? It's not. It's pretty much a completely new lineup. So well, we have some guests also playing on there. Okay. There's a few guitar player guests, and I'll just reveal that when it's released. But there's some really nice players on the album. So
cool. All right, we can't tempt you then.
Right.
We can't tempt you to break one. No, so is Soul Sign, do you think that's your vehicle to express yourself as a bass player, or do you see it more as a band where you actually get to push yourself musically?
It's interesting you say that. It's more about the songs. We do have some stuff where we're shredding a little bit and stuff like that, and live we do guitar solos and bass solos and drum solos and things like that. But it's really not so much like a show off thing as it is like, just writing good songs, and playing good songs. And I don't know if that's a maturity thing but that's always really been the goal, and some of the songs are simple and some of them are, there's a little bit of progressiveness going on and some shred and stuff like that. But it's like this album, there won't even be a bass solo on this album. So
right.
It's that's okay. That's fine. But,
yeah. So I was listening to Life in the Dark yesterday, actually, again.
Cool.
And there's some great tracks on there. I mean, A Sign of the Soul, yeah. I really love that, yeah. And cool. And you mentioned Between the Lines, which is obviously your bass solo on there. And in brackets, we've got N379N3. Yeah, what's the significance of that?
I stole that from probably my biggest hero, Billy Sheehan. he called one of his bass solos something like that on, and I didn't know what it was, on one of his Talus albums a long time ago. And when you turn it upside down, it spells Sheehan. So I do the same thing.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
So you turn it upside down, it says England.
Yeah. No, I can see
So
that now. Yeah. And it
Yeah,
and it's pretty cool solo, actually. I love the way it kind of leads into Out of Obsession, yeah, which is a great track as well, yeah. So that it's got that kind of style where the bass is mirroring the guitar in parts, yeah, which makes it nice and rocky and nice and heavy, yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, it's you know, it's funny you mentioned that, because it's probably one of the tracks that holds up the most from that album, where, you know, we would most likely will put that in the live set in the future regardless. So I have a feeling, but it's a good track. So yeah, thank you for.
Oh, that's cool. I like You Control as well. A beautifully complex opening riff, yeah. Then and it's a great laid song. There's plenty of nicely busy bass in there as well. That was another standout for me. And then of course, Life in the Dark, yeah, the title track. That's another cracker as well. And there's kind of several segments in the song, yeah, but it all kind of leads to the chorus every time. And again, it's another one that really shows off the bass, the bass.
Oh, thanks. Yeah. And it's, you know, it's interesting. That's one song that I think was, when I wrote it, it was very, very simplistic, and it just kind of developed into, there's a lot of guitar licks and things like that in their melodies and things like that, but it really came out of simplicity, which I think a lot of songs, in my opinion, you know, the simpler they are, the more room you leave for good melodies. You can pretty much do anything with it, you know, and that's kind of a beautiful thing with when something's really simple like that. So
yeah, no, that's cool. And obviously things like that work really well live as well, yeah.
It does, yeah, it does. And it's interesting, you know, some songs, you know, it's until you play them, you don't really know if they're going to work live. Some songs are, it's strange. Like some songs we have to speed up the tempo. Some of them we have to slow down to make sense live. You know, it's kind of interesting what kind of life a song will take on its own when you are performing it live, as opposed to on a recording. It's quite fascinating sometimes.
Cool. Any idea, or when's the idea for the new album to come out?
Well, 2022 sometime. I mean, we're looking at some, you know, different labels and things like that right now, and we're just gonna have to see. It is a strange. Yeah, the market's pretty strange right now. Like, do you want to put out an album? Do you want to put up singles? And we've kind of been thinking about that a little bit. And I don't know. It'll be an album. We'll release the whole thing, but doing singles is actually kind of interesting. I think it's kind of makes more sense in a way now that people don't really buy CDs much, and people don't even buy downloads very much. It's more about streaming and things like that. So it's a different world for sure, you know, and you know, kind of adapting to the reality of it is really what it kind of boils down to. You know, if one wants to be, sorry about that. That was my battery on my phone's going low. So if you want to stay current, you know, or you know, be survive, I guess you have to like sort of adapt to the reality of things. So
yeah, that's true. I'm not a fan of streaming, but hey, there we go. You have to live with it, I suppose. Last time I met you was in London when you were on tour with Tara Lynch. I caught you a couple of times on that tour. Yeah, how was that? Was that good fun traipsing around England?
It was very fun. It was a great tour, and great band, great people to travel with, and it was really nice. And we saw a lot of good places. And you know, when you spend a month in Britain, you play places that you wouldn't play if you're there only there for, like, you know, normally on a European tour, you go to England and you play like Manchester and London or something like that, and then you leave. So it was really nice to play all these places that I probably wouldn't go to if it wasn't for a tour like that. So it was really nice.
Yeah, it's good. It's a great four-piece lineup as well. Joe's great, obviously, and Kaviani's pretty awesome as well. Yeah, yourself, and then you know, Tara shredding away at the front. Yeah.
Yeah.
it kind of went. I mean, a lot of people maybe hadn't really heard that much of it, yeah. But yeah, it was good how you know, as a full piece, you managed to kind of interest the crowd, and I thought you got great feedback as well.
Thank you. Yeah, that was a really strong lineup. I agree with that. And wonderful players and good people. So that was a really nice tour.
Well, we've got live music back in the UK now. So I've covered about 3 or 4 gigs already. Yeah, the first one I was even quite happy paying £5.50 on a not very cold can of Guinness. Yeah, that's delivered in a plastic glass. So that's like $7.50. Yeah, for one can of beer. You know.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
we're kind of saying that maybe the audience numbers down about 25%, yeah, which kind of given what's happened with the pandemic and how people are still worried is not surprising.
Yeah.
But you know, British musicians also have to contend with Brexit now. So when you came over to the States, are you dual nationality without getting too personal, or?
Oh, that's fine. Yeah, I am, in fact, and which is kind of nice when you travel because it makes it easy. You know, I kept through going into Europe. I kept through the Lions quick, and then coming back into the United States, I kept through the Lions quick. So I'm kind of spoiled in that sense. But yeah, it's kind of a nice thing to have, and like I said, yeah, especially for traveling purposes. To you cut, like I said, you cut through really fast, and yeah. So
because one of the problems we've got over here is basically people now need to go through the minefield of all the paperwork. Yeah, the carnets for your equipment. Yeah, your merchandise and your VAT, where you pay your VAT. Yeah, that can be a pretty much a minefield. So you're okay then. You've got the easy path. Yeah.
Yeah, it does make it helps. There's one less guy to worry about getting work visas for and stuff like that. Sweden's part of the European Union. I'm not so sure if it's good for Sweden, but it's good for me. I don't have to worry about getting a work visa. You know what I mean? So, so it's quite nice.
Cool. So looking back on your career, you toured with Yngwie for a few years. Yeah, I mean that must have been awfully cool.
Yeah, it was very cool. Kind of like something I always wanted to do. I felt like I'd like to work with him one day, and I did, and it was great. I had a good time working with him. It was just great all along. Like the whole experience of like musically, personally, everything was nice. The travels, everything.
Yeah, I mean, you did tours in the States, Europe, Japan, Israel, Russia. Yeah, so that must have been pretty cool. Yeah,
it is cool. Yeah, you get to see a lot of the world. I guess it's a good thing. That's one of the advantages of being a musician, I suppose. It's like you get paid to travel. It's like, not that you always have that much time to see things, but I'm kind of easy to please as far as, if I take a walk or something around the town or I see a little bit of it, I'm happy. I don't have to be there for a week. so it's quite nice to see different places. Absolutely.
Yeah. Cool. And you've also played with Uli John Roth and Tony McAlpine as well. Yeah, there's some pretty cool guitar legends you've backed in your career.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing, actually. They're very, very good players and good people. And in fact, in 2011, I was playing with Tony, Uli, and Yngwie at the same time. So that was a lot of songs to brush up on and prepare and stuff like that. But I'm very grateful for it, because it's like anything like that, when you get that kind of mileage as far as playing and you're pushing yourself. And Tony is especially his later albums are very progressive, and there's a lot of odd meter, and then you got Yngwie's got his own style, and Uli has his own style, and it's quite interesting. All of them are phenomenal guitar players, but they're very different as far as how they operate when they work and all that stuff. So it's quite fascinating, and I suppose every musician is different, and kind of makes it fun. So
Yeah, and speaking of fun, it looked like you had plenty of fun with Plenty Heavy and Greg Mara.
Yeah,
I was checking out the video for Swift Kick again, yeah, which is a great song actually. And
yeah,
in the
yeah,
video, you're kind of arguing with your own on-screen girlfriend, aren't you?
yeah, yeah. That was fun. That was actually uh, Greg's idea, and the interesting thing with that is like that was not long before we broke up, actually. So it was quite like almost like a realistic thing,
Right.
if you
Okay.
will. So, but yeah, that was fun. It was a
Yeah.
fun shoot we did, and we had a good time. And Greg's great, so yeah,
Yeah.
we have a good time. Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. Cool. And DIO Disciples, yeah, you've been a member since 2012. How did you become involved with that?
Very interesting question. I had known Craig Goldie for since I moved to LA. Really, he was teaching a music business class at Musicians Institute when I was a student there, and I got to know him, and we kept in touch, and he was always very supportive of me and everything. And um, then I left Yngwie's band, and Ripper, who is one of the singers in DIO Disciples, had also left Yngwie's band. And I one day I sent him a text and I say, "Listen, when you come to LA next time, let's have a beer." And he said, "I'll be there tomorrow. I have rehearsals with DIO Disciples." And he invited me down to the rehearsal studio, and one thing led to another. So
Yeah,
just
cool.
make a long story short, having a little bit of history with some of the guys in the band obviously helped.
Yeah.
And that's usually, it's very rare that anybody gets a gig without knowing anybody in the band. And which is when I first started playing with Quiet Riot many years ago, I didn't know anybody in the band. So that was quite interesting,
Mhm.
and not knowing anyone in the band and still getting the gig was probably one of the only times in my life that actually happened. So in other words, like knowing people and networking is a good thing,
Yeah,
I suppose.
absolutely, absolutely. Well, I mean, Ripper's great. I mean, he's got a great voice. Yeah, we covered his show that he did with KK Downing at the steel mill. Yeah, and
Oh,
yeah, and
cool.
he pulled that off really well. I think he'd had some problems with his voice,
Mm,
but that came across really cool. And Craig
yeah.
Goldie, yeah. I mean, I saw Craig with DIO on the '86 Sacred Heart tour with
Oh,
the big dragon, and '87 in
yeah.
Donington. Have you spoke to Craig lately? Is he all right?
It's been. I spoke to him a couple of weeks ago. Yeah, he seems to be doing okay.
Mhm.
I think we're all in the same boat, musicians, as far as
Mhm.
like the whole pandemic and everything. Everybody's doing our writing and our studio work and all that kind of stuff. But
Mhm.
yeah, he's doing okay. So yeah, it's we'll see as far as with D returns. As we're called now when we do the hologram, and
Mhm.
I think we might go out next year and do something at some point, but not quite sure when and all that stuff. But,
Mm. I mean, even
yeah.
with DIO Disciples, yeah, you've had some good trips around the world with that as well. Obviously, whacking in 2016, where you first introduced the hologram, that must have been a pretty special moment.
It was very special, and Wendy was there obviously, and it was pressure on us because everything had to work,
Mhm.
the technically the whole thing, and us playing to making sure that we're synced and all that stuff. But yeah, it worked out good. It was a nice gig. We closed out the Wacken Festival, and I think it was like 2:30 in the morning when we played. It was very cold outside.
Mm.
So it's like nice when the pyros finally started. It was kind of nice, nice because it got a little warmer on stage because it was very cold. But it's kind of when you're having a good time on stage, you kind of tend to forget,
Yeah.
if it's for the 100 degrees or if it's 40 degrees, it doesn't really matter. But
Yeah,
yeah, it was.
yeah. I mean, as a band, you really have to be on the mark, don't you? When you're playing with the hologram, how were there a few cock ups in
Mm.
rehearsals or?
Right. Yeah, we did some rehearsing, and we was like I said, it had to be synced up, and obviously Simon played to a click track just so we could sync the vocals and everything. But no, it worked out nicely,
Mhm.
really did. And I mean, it's like you never know, like things can go wrong, right? So it's like
Yeah.
but
Can you remember?
no, it
Can you
worked.
remember? Sorry, can you remember the first time you saw the hologram in rehearsal? Yeah, was that a kind of emotional experience for people, or?
Yeah, I mean, I think for because I didn't really know Ronnie, so it's more personal for the other guys. They were very
Mhm.
close to him and everything. Um, it might be a good thing to have one person in the band that's kind of like emotionally removed a little bit from
Mhm.
the whole thing. I don't know, perhaps, but obviously it's yeah, it's emotional even for me. It's he was a special guy and he was a wonderful singer and everything. So it's that's quite cool,
Mhm.
and the fact that the vocals are from live performances,
Mhm.
so it gives that whole live feel to, or it's almost like as if you close your eyes, he's like on stage
Yeah,
singing with us.
yeah.
So it's pretty cool.
Yeah,
Yeah.
my first gig I covered for Metal Talk was the December 17 show in London.
Hmm.
And I had a great night actually. I was photographed. I had to photograph from the back of the hall, yeah, to which
Yeah.
was okay. And I bought like a 30 centimeter stool so I could stand on that in front of the sound desk, yeah, to shoot above the crowd, which was fine.
Cool.
There was one other photographer there who, when he came in the hall, he saw my stool. Yeah, you just see his face drop. Yeah, because he thought, "Ah, shit, that was an idea I should have taken." So we did
Right.
share the stool. But it's like
Oh, cool.
you open with like King of Rock and Roll, and it was
Yeah.
straight in with the Dio vocal as well on top of that, yeah. And it was
Yeah.
a little goosebumpy for sort of 30-40 seconds, yeah. And then I thought, oh shit, I'm supposed to be shooting this, aren't I? So but it
Oh,
was
that's a
it was a good
nice
night. I
image.
really enjoyed it. Like,
Yeah. No, I thought that was a really nice tour. We played some nice places, and yeah, it was great. So yeah, I remember that. You got some good pictures from that show.
yeah, thank you,
Some really
thank
good
you.
pictures. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
thank you,
nice.
thank you, thank you. I mean, I know everyone's not a fan of the hologram. I mean, I think it's quite okay to do. I think maybe
Yeah.
with, these big 4K TVs you've got and the multi-million-pound special effects on science fiction films,
Mm,
yeah, there might be a mismatch between people's expectations, yeah, and what they
yeah.
see. But yeah, I mean, I'm a fan, yeah, I like it. I think it's cool. I think it's good. So we
Yeah, no,
might,
I agree. I mean, it's like, um, it some people like it, some people don't like it, and it'll never be. I mean, the real thing's a real thing. So it's
yeah,
like I don't even compare it. It's like, to me, it's like nice for the fans that they can experience, you know, the the music with Ronnie like that, and I think it's a nice thing. So
yeah. I mean, in the article we did, yeah, the writer spoke to Wendy after the show, yeah, and she said it was done with love. So
yeah,
I think even the fiercest critics of the new innovation, yeah, can't argue with that, can they?
yeah, no, exactly. No, it's definitely done with love, and it's about keeping his memory alive, and we're celebrating him, and it's his friends and his bandmates
Hmm.
in the band, so it's kind of it's a cool thing, and the fact that we're doing a lot of songs without the hologram, where it's only or Ripper singing,
Hmm.
and so it's kind of like more than half of the show is just like any Dio Disciples show, really. So like mixing it up like that, I think it's great.
Yeah,
It gives it more of a it's a nice balance. Yeah.
cool. So, in general, when do you think you might get back out on tour with someone again? What's your plan for the next few months?
You know what? I wish I had an answer. I'm hoping maybe springtime or something like that would be possible, but it's I'm not holding my breath. I'm my expectations are, you know I don't like to have high expectations when
No.
it comes to things like that, as far as like the way that everybody's been dealing with the world lately, as far as this pandemic and everything. So
Mhm.
it is what it is, but I would think sometime, in the spring or summer, definitely there will be something happening, so we'll see what happens.
Cool. So good luck with Soul Sign. Yeah,
Thank
keep us
you.
in the loop. Keep us in the loop when the album comes out. Yeah, and
Will
maybe
do. Will do.
beforehand. Yeah. Any message for the
Yeah.
fans?
Anything for the fans? Yeah. Look out for. So I think a lot of people are going to like the new album. There's I think it's a much stronger album than the first one, and yeah, I guess I'll see everybody next year sometime. I think this year is out. I think there's nothing booked, and then I don't think anything's going to happen. But we're getting closer to holidays and everything like that. But yeah, definitely next year I think things will be kind of up and running again a little bit more. I would think so.
Excellent, and we look forward to see you on the road again. Yeah.
Thank you.
Cool. Bjorn Englen, thank you very much. Let's keep in touch.
All right, thank you. All right, let's do that. All right, take
Cheers.
Care. Thanks a lot. Cheers.
Keep me out of depression, away from obsession.